This is Table Top Babble, and I'm Amber. Hello! Before we get into today's episode, I have a show announcement. Starting next Monday, that's August 9th of 2021, wonderful writer, designer, and podcaster Kristen Devine is joining the Tabletop crew to specifically talk with people who are currently crowdfunding a TTRPG, board game, or tangentially related project. This show will be called Tabletop Crowd and will air every other Monday with the possibility of a weekly bonus episode here and there. No promises, no guarantees. If you have a crowdfunding project coming up in October, November, or December, please email us at tabletopbabble@gmail.com and maybe we can get you on the show. Also, apologies for people who've emailed me and I haven't gotten back to you. I'm still not used to checking Tabletop Babble's Gmail, and I will be getting on that. Anyway, this is very exciting for me because having this extra help will allow me and Kenny to do more Tabletop Spotlight episodes and plan out other cool new things for Tabletop Babble. So thanks, Kristen, for joining. I hope you guys enjoy her shows. Sometimes we get Kickstarters on here, and it'd be nice to have just a dedicated show for that. So, woohoo, Tabletop Crowd! Anyway, today is a very special episode of Tabletop Babble. I attempted to interview the entire cast of Dames and Dragons at once. So, while this episode is a little bit less structured than most, it also perfectly captures why Kat, Noel, Juniper, and Hannah, in that order, have attracted so many fans to Dames and Dragons. We sat down on June 16th and chatted about the inspiration for each of the characters, getting your yayas out, and most regrettably, kurgum. Oh yeah, I forgot about kurgum. Also to note, I usually try to keep the episode PG-13. I just gave up trying to control that during the interview. And to our dear, dear editor Dave, thank you. And I just told him to leave the cussing in. So, explicit warning, there is cussing, there are F-bombs. If you have any kids listening, maybe if you don't want them exposed to that, don't listen. But if you're a fan of Dames and Dragons, I'm sure you're used to it. Okay, fine, the show's starting now. Hello, and welcome to Tabletop Babble, Dames and Dragons. This is the first time I know this. Why did I say I think like I don't know this? Anyway, this is the first time I've had more than 2 people on at the show, so...
Are you sure?
Oh, no, now they're all...
Are you sure? Are you sure there's more than 2 of us? Are you sure we are not simply one guest with 4 heads?
And...
Like the
different backdrops
of guests.
Well, there was a yaddle backdrop that I miss very much
there
now.
was.
So
I can bring it back.
Please bring back the yaddle.
Okay.
I feel much more at ease when I know that Yaddle
when
is
I
in the
can
room
see
with
Yaddle.
me.
Oh, I just thought of something. Are we gonna have time where we can talk about off-topic?
Oh, it's already happened. You know what, listeners. I just knowing who all of us are as people, you're already in for a special treat. Like, it's gonna be, who knows where we're gonna go tonight. I have 3 questions prepared.
I love that. We might get those answered.
Who knows?
We
might get 2 of them.
Stick around and find out.
Well, if you're wondering who I'm talking to, this dragon with 4 heads, go around and do some introductions. I know you guys have your own order you usually do for your show for Dames and Dragons, so let's go with that order. You know how it goes.
Bold of you to assume we remember
I was told explicitly before.
You were told by me and Kat.
No, I'm being awful.
Yeah, no,
I'm being awful. We can
we
do
know
it.
Our order.
I'm so
we
sorry.
don't. I literally don't know if I go before or after
don't.
Noel
Okay.
right now. I'm so scared.
Don't worry, Kat will always tell us what to do, and that's just how we'll live our
All right,
lives.
Kat, you're my co-host tonight.
All right. Well, because I guess I'm the captain of this ship. Hi, I'm Kat, and I am the DM for the Dames and Dragons podcast, and these are my 3 other heads.
And are we doing
are.
pronouns?
Yeah, that'd be great. Pronouns too, please. Yeah.
Oh, yeah. She, her pronouns. And now you must answer these riddles 3 before I'm able to let you cross the bridge. Riddles 3, go!
Hello, I'm Noel. I'm your first riddle, and I'm telling a lie. I play Fran on Dames and Dragons, which is a podcast that we all are on.
And your pronouns?
My pronouns are she, her, and I just saw a huge helicopter fly past my window. One of those things was a lie. Figured out.
Yeah, it's you.
It's always you, Juniper.
It's always you.
It's always been you.
Always go after
It's
Noel.
me. I forget. I literally forget. In my mind, I was like sure that it was Hannah and then me and then Noel. Anyways, hi, I'm Juniper and I only tell the truth. And I play Corbin on Dames and Dragons.
All of us are on it.
It's a D&D podcast where we play D&D. We're all on it.
Pronouns.
And
All right, we got it.
oh, my pronouns are they them. Anyways, I'm right behind you.
And hello. Why, it is I, the fourth riddle. And I'm here to reveal to you that Noel always tells the truth. And Juniper always lies. What will your decision be? And I'm Hannah, and I play Slake on the podcast, a half-orc fighter, and I use they/them pronouns.
Would you say all of us are on the podcast together?
You know, you
could
might
say that we are all on the
You might
podcast.
even
You could
say
that
you could
all
even-
four of
Now,
us-
if I'm
You
always
might
telling
even
the
say
truth and
that.
Noel's always lying, which of us is not on the podcast?
answer.
Oh, shit.
If you can answer this riddle, then we shall let you past, and you may plunder the treasure
my
room.
God.
But watch out, there are traps.
Okay, I'm back. I left the room for a little bit and let them take over the show. Now I'm back.
Mentally.
Welcome to the energy for the rest of this episode.
And actually, you know what's funny? All 5 of us have been on Dames and Dragons. I was on.
Hell
Woo!
yeah. We are all on the
Yeah.
podcast.
Oh.
Yes, Amber
Yeah.
was our wonderful guest.
Yeah.
You could
One
say.
could
yep.
say.
You're
I
the
was
first
because
of our
I was
guests
like, I'm
for
going to sign up
Dark
first
Six.
because I don't want to have to follow anybody better of a player than me.
Nonsense and pish posh. You were excellent.
It was a good time, and it was much like this right now. So for my
Yes.
listeners, if you wouldn't mind, who maybe don't know your show, have not listened, and I'm gonna point this onto Kat. Like, what is Dames and Dragons? How did Dames and Dragons become a thing?
Well, what is Dames and Dragons? Dames and Dragons is an experience. Dames and Dragons is a lifestyle. Dames and Dragons is a multimedia
Conglomerate?
Scheme.
Marketing
level.
A pyramid scheme?
Yes.
Oh my god. Do I have to sign up and then find like 5 people to host Dames and Dragons parties and
You've
sell
already
them mugs?
been on the podcast.
Oh, that's right.
You're
I'm really
already
sorry.
signed up.
It's
You're
great.
in the scheme. You're in
You're
the
already an
pyramid.
executive.
But so Dames and Dragons is allegedly a 5e actual play podcast. We got started in what?
2017 we
17.
started.
Yeah, we just did this.
What? Yeah. We started recording in 2016.
We just talked about this in our Q&A episode, and
We
I
did.
edited that, and we talked about it for like 15 minutes. So,
I think it's really important that people know that we did start recording in 2016, and then we started to air in 2017.
Were you-
Just-
I want to
wanna
also
say that again.
want to
record.
reiterate that we did start in September of 2016. And honestly, think about it.
Good on the specifics.
The energy
Think
that is
about
in
it.
the first few episodes, if just think about it.
it's big 2016.
September 2016. A lot going on.
Were you guys playing Dungeons and Dragons together before you started recording a podcast?
Some of us.
Allegedly. Again,
Stop
Everything
accusing
you
us
hear-
of things, Amber.
Everything on this show today may or may not be true.
It'll never hold up in court.
it'll never hold up in court. We had played one game of one campaign of D&D that I DM'd with our much wider friend group. And it did balloon to the point where I think at one session we had like 13 people all playing.
Yeah, it was insane.
And that was the last time we ever met for that campaign.
Ever.
Yeah, that was the last time we ever did it because it just very quickly we realized, oh, we can't do this. And then it collapsed like a dying star into a black hole that became this podcast. And then Hannah joined us, what was that, 2018
So,
probably? 2019?
Oh, I was so young.
You were so young.
I can
think it must have
hardly
been 2018.
remember.
I think it must have been 2018 that you joined us.
That
Somebody
sounds right.
could fact check this, and it won't be me. But yeah, so Hannah joined us 2018, and then we've just been a beast with 3 heads
And one butt? Are you saying I'm the butt?
I'm sorry.
Yeah.
I'm sorry.
Yeah.
Where's the 4th head, Cat?
No, 3 heads, 1 butt. One of us is a butt, and you're just gonna have to.
I know
guess
who's
who it
acting
is.
like a butt, Cat.
Yeah, Cat.
That was a good summary. Great job, Cat.
Thank you.
Yeah, good job.
So good.
Oh, thank you. Thank
You
you
really
for the
nailed it.
positive affirmations.
Mm-hmm.
Well, yeah. So I
No,
forgot
that
the
was pretty
question.
much it. That was pretty much it. Like, well,
Add
because like
to
my
it.
next question
Okay.
then would be like, when you sat down, because you're on like you just finished your 6th arc, correct? Right. Okay. So 6 seasons. Did you think when you first sat down we're going to be doing this for 6 seasons?
Oh no.
No.
Well, I think like we thought maybe that there like I remember Kat saying towards the beginning there'll be like 10-ish arcs, but we thought the arcs were going to be like 5 episodes each.
Yeah.
Yeah. And I think we also had like a mentality of, well, you know, like if we do this and then like it doesn't take off the ground, we'll just stop and DM
Right.
for ourselves,
We'll
like
just-
without having to put the effort into producing a podcast.
Yeah.
And I think
And then unfortunately we were successful.
How?
And we had to keep going.
Terrible. Though I guess then okay, so because you know me DMing and preparing campaigns myself, and I've done the same thing with like my show too, where it's like, oh, maybe I'll do this for a while as I get used to GMing, but now it's kind of ballooned into something bigger than I thought. I've only listened to maybe like the first half of the first season. I have meta knowledge, right? Like I know Kat is a lore fiend, right? Like writing,
A
love
wizard.
stuff,
Oh, you
story's
know
a
that,
huge
yeah.
deal for Kat. At what point in your okay, we're gonna be doing this, did you start being like, I'm gonna make this whole story, or did you already have the like a story nugget to begin with?
Yeah. So I started, you know, the way many writers do. I started with half of a plan and a lot of gumption, or a lot more motor than map, we'll say. But I did have basically the first 4 arcs very solid. Well, 5 arcs solidly planned out.
At the
And again, I didn't think they would take nearly as long.
I mean,
as they
at the
did.
get go, like right when
but-
you guys were sitting down to record, you had in your mind 5 arcs.
I had in my mind, so
Oh.
yes, it, more or less. So what I had was, and we're gonna spoiler tag here because it's very hard to
Sure.
talk about this without spoilers. So at the end of the first arc of Dames and Dragons, the first season takes place on a floating island. End of that first season, spoilers, the island falls, and I knew that was gonna happen, and then I knew it would be one more season of them exploring the new world and getting their bearings, and then it'd be 3 seasons of basically I had 3 cities where there was something happening in each one, and depending on the order in which they went to those cities, those things that were happening would progress in different ways. So the order that they ended up going in was not necessarily the only way things could have unfolded. It could have unfolded in a bunch of different ways, and I had all of that mapped out pretty much from session
I'm sorry,
1.
this is a deep lore question that only Dames and Dragons listeners will understand. But I do need to know, could Orestes have been as redeemable as Milava was?
fuck. Yeah, actually, yeah.
He's
that's
a
a
character
great
we
cat.
met in season 6, but apparently we could have met in season
Yeah.
3.
Oh.
We could have met him
And
much
he's-
earlier.
Yes.
I was
bastard.
trying to think of a low-level
Yeah.
PG-13
Ass.
swear word.
I'm sorry.
The worst.
The word, yeah.
He's the worst.
You know, I would actually say that probably if you had gone that route, and if Orestes was your first villain that you really met, you probably would have had, I think the way that I was planning it is it would have been something where you would have ended up with either Orestes or Phelan.
Are you, Kat, are you fucking saying that Orestes would have had the redemption arc?
Phelan.
And
Yeah.
Phelan would have been
he just would
the
have been
asshole
like,
bitch.
I'm going off the deep.
Yeah.
But like, same,
Messed up, Kat. That's messed up.
I'm keeping all of this in because this is like what I wanted to showcase. It's like, to me, as not knowing this stuff, not knowing your guys' deep lore, it's super cool like to know that this stuff is, and also to see the behind the scenes stuff as a GM, like you plan this stuff out. And it's also really nice to have your 3 players here who can help me ask you questions. So we're good. And then I guess okay, go ahead.
We're good.
Yeah, you
Well,
want to say something?
No, I was just gonna say, well, good. I hope people find it interesting. I never know how much of this stuff is like interesting to other people
It's
because
hard.
it's just the stuff that's been like it's the recycle bin of my brain, basically.
Some people's trash is other people's treasure, Kat.
Kat, you know people are like super thirsty for your lore. Like, you know they are.
I am a desert.
thirsty
I am a
for
desert, and I will give only small
One
oases.
thing though that like I think is so, I mean, it's relevant to this conversation, but it's also just like, it's a huge strength of yours as a GM, but also as just a writer. The fact that like you think of a lore and you're like, yeah, that's it. Like, and you believe in it. You know what I mean? I mean, I know that like, and then it makes everyone else like super believe in it. Like, I know like one time we had an intro to a Dames and Dragons episode where I was like, hey, guess what, you guys? Kat made all this up.
This came from my brain.
I remember that.
I
We
know.
were like, shut up. Like, this is
like
crazy.
the verisimilitude is so strong because of your decisiveness and belief system. I don't know. It's really good.
It's true.
Well, a lot of that comes from my background in improv. Here, we'll do your job for you.
I love it.
Amber.
I'm just watching. Listening.
I'll talk about my background, which is in I cut my teeth teaching 16-year-olds improv, and therefore I
Yeah.
am invincible.
Yeah, you're an unkillable god.
Yeah.
Yeah. Once you have gotten a 16-year-old to yes and,
There's nothing you could do.
there's nothing can hurt you.
You're
Nothing
right.
can hurt you after that. So like that's kind of where that comes from, is just that I have been doing that for pretty much my whole life. I grew up in theater. Both my parents are actors. My mother and father met at a Renaissance festival while she was a clown and he was a knight. So like,
Can I make it any more obvious?
can I make it any more obvious of like who I am? Who the child those two people
The child of a
raised?
clown and a knight.
Clown
Yeah.
Knight.
It's all making sense.
Clown knight.
Okay. So then I want to know, pivoting to the player's perspective, when you guys sat down at the table with Kat, how much of this did you, I mean, obviously not everything, but how much did you know was planned, and like, how much were you contributing to the world building as well?
Oh, sure. So at the beginning, basically, like, Kat kind of planned out mostly everything. I mean, we planned out our own characters, and then Kat kind of adapted storylines around, like, what we said our values were and our like, motivations, which is, had
Like,
long implications.
I remember, Kat, I think maybe we talked about this in the Q&A. I literally don't remember anything that happens anywhere. But I remember you saying that you based Corbin's whole, like, arc with Pavia off of the fact that I put, like, a throwaway line in his character sheet about him having prophetic dreams of a coming disaster.
Yeah.
Like,
What a throwaway
and
line.
I was like, nice. What a throwaway line.
Just
That's just the type of line that I throw
know,
away. I don't know.
just crow things.
Just a
Just, you know,
casual prophetic vision
Just
line.
a casual prophetic
Yeah,
vision
that's the
line,
sort
like,
of
just
shit that a
throwaway
DM
line.
absolutely should seize
Yeah.
on. Is,
Yeah.
you know, does a character have prophetic visions? That's a story hook.
It's true.
That's, you know, maybe something.
Yeah. Does a
You know.
character hate that they're here? That's a story hook. Does a character... I don't know. I
That's
ran out
fine,
of
that's
examples.
fine.
That's valid.
I started the
That's fine.
sentence before I knew where it was going. Just like
Yes.
this podcast.
done wonderfully.
I was going to say, like, let's talk about your guys' characters then, because we know Kat's GMing, and you introduced who your characters were at the beginning or who you were playing, but, like, let's talk more about your characters and your concepts and all that fun character generation stuff that isn't the number part.
Are
don't
numbers
know.
involved in D&D?
I don't
Thank
really
you.
use them, so
I recently had to play in a one-shot. I was asked and I said yes, willingly.
You were
Play
forced
D&D
to at
with us.
gunpoint.
yeah, you were
You're
forced to.
recruited into
You're
a
made to.
multimedia marketing scheme.
It's called D&D. And they were like, you're going to be a 16th level character. And I was like, oh, God, I have to
Yeah,
create
whoa.
a 16th level character? And then I went on to D&D
yeah.
Beyond and I said,
No.
generate for me a 16th. I don't care what it is.
That's the way.
Yeah.
And
Good
it took away
thinking.
all that. But
Yeah.
yeah, for you three, I don't know if you want to do podcast order or what. Let's just do that. Tell me
Yeah.
about your character.
Yeah.
Podcast order starts with Noel, and then it will be Juniper, and then it will be Hannah.
Thank you, Kat.
Thank you, Kat.
Kat,
Thank
Kat,
you. You
thank
saved
you.
my life. Thank
Kat.
you.
Kat, how
Thank you,
long did you have
Kat.
that planned
You're
out?
Believe it or not,
Since the
I knew
beginning.
that. First episode.
Wow.
Even
Wow.
before
Yeah.
I joined the podcast, you knew
Yeah, even
what
before.
order.
Yeah, I knew. I knew it. I saw it in a prophetic vision. That was a throwaway at the beginning of this whole
Right.
episode.
That makes sense.
So, anyway,
Super tracks.
first of all, I don't think we haven't outright said this, but we had another player before we had Hannah. So we had a wonderful player named Sophia
Yes.
who played a wonderful character named Laika. And it was originally my character, Fran, Juniper's character, Corbin, and then Sophia's character, Laika, and then Hannah's wonderful character, Slake, joined on later. Just for context,
Yeah.
for anybody who hasn't listened to our podcast, but listened through all that Arresty stuff and was like, yeah, this sounds like I'll just keep listening.
I'll just continue.
Guess I'll keep listening.
Anyway, so I play Fran, and I created Fran. I birthed her from my own body, and she basically immediately my only concept, I've talked about this a few times, but like my only concept was like, I want to cause conflict in the party. I want this character to like be kind of an asshole, but like not so much that she's unpleasant to listen to, just enough that like it's interesting, so that it's not always like us talking to each other and being like, where should we go next, guys? I agree, let's go. You know? Basically, so we could have more scenes like between characters talking, which I think, especially early on, did behoove
That
us.
helped a
Yes,
lot.
Yes. Yeah.
since there was a lot of scenes of people being like, oh, let's do this logical thing, and Fran being like, I don't wanna. Let's talk about why.
Are you implying that either Corbin or Laika suggested to do a logical thing at any point?
I did my damnedest
Look,
to guide you.
I am
to
remembering the
logical
time
things.
that we made a 3-person stack of people.
I'm remembering the time that you cast shrink
On a ceiling.
object on the
On the entire bathroom
on a
above us.
Yeah, a whole room above you.
And
And
Kat
yeah.
didn't.
That was your
to your
solution.
credit, you didn't go where you could have gone with the sewage problem. So
Yeah.
mad respect. Anyway, but
Yeah.
We keep it classy.
so like that was kind of my motivation, and I wanted her to be kind of like a funny character. So she's constantly embarrassing herself, which I think is what makes her not so obnoxious to listen to. Because even if she's being kind of mean, you're like, but she's so weak, like she can't.
she's got
She can't
no
really
teeth.
hurt anyone because she's only hurting herself. But I know she's
Fran.
a flail.
Love
Love her
her.
to death. But anyway, so I had this character hook that was basically like the only person that she's really loyal to is her old mentor, and she doesn't really want to be a guardian of the goddess, which is the original setting of the podcast. Is there's these 3 characters, our 3 characters, who have been being trained to be guardians to a goddess that rules over this floating island, and then the mystery unfolds. But I thought it'd be interesting to be the character who just was like, I don't want to be here. So it was fun. It was a good time.
I was like, I think I was remembering that first episode. I think one of you was intentionally late to whatever. Was that Fran?
Yeah.
Yeah, okay.
Yeah, it was
I don't know
Fran.
if it was.
Yeah.
I guess it was intentional. You know what?
intentional. Yeah, you intentionally overslept.
Yeah.
I think you said, I wish I wasn't here, and I wish all of you were dead.
Yeah, I think that's
I know, in fact, that you said,
Sounds about right.
I wish I wasn't here because I have a sticker on my laptop that says that.
Oh yeah. Oh, spoilers. Oh my god, spoilers.
Spoilers for future merch.
Oh,
for
dang.
yeah.
You gotta hear it exclusive for Tabletop
Yeah.
Babble.
Yeah,
Dang. Thank you.
Yeah.
Yes. Also, she's a wizard, and she's an illusion wizard. Not because I thought that would be useful, but just because I thought it would be funny.
Yeah, I love
Yeah.
I mean,
been
my
both.
character for what I played in Arc 6 was based off of a character I played in another game who I wanted a wizard who was an illusion wizard that over time was becoming disillusioned. And yeah. He was a very happy
disillusioned
child boy,
wizard.
loved candy, but
Love
the
it.
world is not sweet. Anyway.
That's so true.
Okay, who's
So
next?
true.
Juniper,
Juniper.
you're next.
Do you remember?
Juniper,
It's me.
tell us about
me.
baby Voldemort.
Okay, so Baby Voldemort, aka Corbin, is a human druid. Yep.
That's it.
That's it.
And there's nothing else to
I still remember
say.
his voice becoming.
That's
His
why we
voice
call him
changed a
Baby
lot.
Voldemort, because he started
Yeah.
out
Yeah.
as a baby Voldemort, and now
So
he sounds
I
like a
used to
normal
do.
dude.
I used to do this thing specifically to Sophia where I would like whisper in her ear in a Voldemort voice. And then I decided that'd be a great idea for a character voice in the podcast. And then I didn't maintain it because it was not a good idea for a character voice in the podcast.
That's just like your opinion, man.
And so,
Yeah,
I mean, you know, it's just for me personally, I was weak, okay? Like, I just didn't have the strength to carry it forever. But I made Corbin specifically to be a character who would not have to confront serious emotion because I don't
I
like
should
to
have done
confront
that. I mean, I
serious
kind of
emotion.
did,
And I was
but
like,
I didn't mean to.
I know,
it just
you're
happened because of
a
me.
fool. No. Well, that's the thing is I was like I need to like put as many like signals out there that I don't want anybody to like make me have an emotion
But you
as
know
I
that
possibly
makes
can.
you
So
know
I
that
created
makes them hungry.
no, and it put a target right on my back.
Oh, you know it.
And
did.
like especially because Kat's DMing, and so she was like, "Oh, did you want to have like a character that doesn't have any deep feelings and represses everything? Here, let me force you to have like a scene of
Well,
emotional
you've done
stress."
wonderfully.
Anyways,
yeah.
thank you.
You're doing amazing.
Thank you. But I made him a druid because I didn't want to commit to full magic, but I
Did anyway.
did anyways because, as it turns out, if you are not literally like a paladin or a fighter, it is absolutely useless to use your physical attacks when you have magical attacks. Yeah. I don't know. I made him. He.
What
yeah.
was your inspiration about his wardrobe?
So like to begin with, like I straight up do think that I was just like I was like under the moment and I was like, I don't know, like a boob window. Like, yeah. And then later on, like as I became more like developed with the character and like, you know, as I like worked with him more in the actual podcast, I was like, you know what? He's like got big like style wise, big
Yes.
Freddie Mercury vibes. So then I based a lot of my ideas for
He's
his
a queer icon. There's no doubt about it.
like looks. Yeah, after the eyeball suit that Freddie Mercury wore.
Beautiful.
But also just various other like stupid high fashion things that just expose a lot of skin for no reason on specifically men.
Yeah,
Like-
it's the play on, you know, the bikini armor and the
It is.
and also Corbin is our damsel character who has been imprisoned.
Which was
Yeah,
not
that's
planned.
No, yeah, but he has been imprisoned in every single arc of our podcast.
I genuinely have not tried to do that.
I haven't either.
You know, I mean that we can debate what the word tried means, but intentionally
Listen,
flying into
I was just
dark
playing the character.
crevasses,
Great.
grates, and then being like, oh,
Jumping
no,
into crates.
That's
I
just the
got
way he
kidnapped.
is. I was just being true to
truly,
his
that's
character.
true, but you know, saying you didn't try, I don't know.
I didn't.
Give yourself credit
Yeah.
for trying.
Yeah, give yourself credit for trying.
As a
Juniper.
druid, though, don't you
I don't
have
know.
an animal companion as well?
Yeah, Burger Jerger. And she was lost after the island fell and then recently came back because I apparently Kat had been waiting for me to use a summon animal spell and summon a giant bird for like seasons.
Yeah.
And I just wouldn't do it.
I
finally did it.
Had talked about long ago. We were like, oh, these are the spells we'll use to get back our animal companions. And then we were always, there was never like a moment where we were like, oh, now's going to be a really good time. And we just kept forgetting.
Yeah, it's true. Well, and I think, too, we kind of, especially as we started playing longer, all came to a realization that, like, we were really, by trying to get our animal companions back,
yeah, we were trying to torture Kat to death.
Like, and we were like...
She has to GM all these NPCs already.
Yeah. So we were like, maybe we can, like, let Kat live and just table the animal companions for a while.
And I love that about all of you. And yet we still ended up with animal companions because they're great.
Yeah.
Unavoidable.
Yeah.
Unavoidable.
All right.
Do you know who's next in the order?
I know. I can count. It's me. So yeah, my character Slake. So yeah, as mentioned, I came in later, and I was already listening to the podcast
And had been a guest,
a
wonderful guest.
Oh yeah, and I had been a guest character back in like Arc 2.
Yeah, that was Arc 2.
Yes. So yeah, I was already a big fan of the podcast, and I was very nervous when I initially joined because I was like, what kind of character should I make? And I want to not change like the tone of the show, and also not be like derivative of any previous NPCs or anything like that.
But also, if you had been a total like shithead, sorry.
I believe you would have been head.
Sorry.
Yeah,
if you'd been a total duty head, I just think the three of us together really would have,
We would have figured it out. Because, we would have figured it out.
I think the world around us would have had to figure it out, meaning Kat would have had to figure it out.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, by which you mean I would have to figure it out.
I also think there's something to be said for that, all of us went to high school together, including Sophia. So, it's not like we just picked Hannah up off the street.
No, I was found in a gutter.
Here.
Well, you were found in the same gutter that the
we
rest
knew
of
you
us
were
were.
going to be there.
Yeah.
We went to the gutter to get you on purpose.
No, I was scouted,
we
actually. They were like, we need a really
that is
talented
actually
and
what
handsome
happened.
stranger
So
to appear on our podcast.
Well, we did. We talked about all of our friends. And we were like,
should probably cut that out.
No, but because you had been a guest before, we were like, we know Hannah can do it, and we'll knock it out of the park. But anyway, I'm sorry to interrupt you.
Well, thank you. No, you're
continue.
Basically, your vibe was great, and we loved it.
You guys. But anyway, I was very nervous, but I was trying to kind of make a character that I thought, will be funny and fit in with the world. But also, I was like, if I make a character who is a complete poop head, it will be very difficult because you've already got I mean, don't get me wrong.
What are you saying?
No, I mean, I adore Brandon Corbin, but if I had made someone,
what are you saying?
If I had made someone who was very combative, I can see how it would have been an issue. And so, I made a character that was actually very much the opposite, a character who was extremely eager to please. To hopefully comedic
effect. Absolutely. But it did result in Slake being Brandon Corbin's intern for a full season.
Yeah.
Yes,
it did.
Which a good time
great.
was had by all. Slake is a half orc fighter. I picked a fighter too because I was like, we've got a lot of magic happening. You don't need me to memorize spells as well. Come on. And they have a beetle motif because I love me a nice beetle and
a beetle companion.
Yeah, and the characters, the original Guardian characters already kind of had, each of them had an animal motif, and so I wanted to pick something that felt right for me, and of course that was good old beetles. Yeah, and I was really relieved when we all, were playing together and it was working, because I was very scared that I was just gonna fuck up and destroy the entire show. So I'm glad
the vibe was immaculate.
I will
right
say,
off the bat.
I will say that as soon as your first time joining us and playing Slake, we immediately tried to bully you. we became
did.
two literal bullies from
and
Slake's past.
Yes.
Oh yeah,
Like we literally did bully.
and you know that I
Honestly,
enjoy that. So
it's honestly though, it's one of the
It's true.
highlights of the whole podcast.
Well,
No, I agree completely. I think
and
it's one
wanna
of our
know,
best
did you guys
episodes.
have a conversation like that before playing with each other? Like, we might be bullying your character, or like it's okay if.
I had kind of had the opposite thing where I was like, before I was on the show, I was like, you guys aren't going to be like really nice to me,
oh
are
yeah,
you?
I forgot
Like,
about
please
that.
don't do that.
And we were like,
Like,
I'm
yeah.
like, oh yeah,
Well,
like we were definitely planning on it, but now we won't. No, we weren't.
Well, and
Well, because I remember you had told us that you like part of Slake's backstory was that they had like these childhood bullies, and I think like Noel and I like looked at each other from like across state lines, but in the same state. We were not in the room.
were
but we,
literally
like,
in the
psychically
room.
connected, and we were like, were we in the room? I don't remember. Anyways, we were probably separated, but the connection was of a psychic nature, and we were like, we're gonna play Slake's bullies.
Yeah, I mean, it was a fun surprise because what I had originally kind of envisioned was that they had kind of this shitty friendship with this one other person.
I mean, it was that too, but
And I hadn't quite pictured it being like, you know, I had pictured it being kind of more of that subtle, like, this is a bad friendship
you
thing.
didn't think that Juniper's voice choices were subtle.
But it was a delight.
I did.
It was a delight.
Are you saying that Ainsley and the Gap don't have nuance?
so, well,
Anyway,
here's the
it
other
was a
thing is,
delight.
it was also because I remember writing it, because when we introduced Hannah into the podcast, we had a little like mini arc that was introducing their character and like getting their character from their origin point to where the rest of the party is. And when I wrote that, I was like, all right, so I've got, we're gonna have Noel and Juniper there, so I've got to like have roles for them. Noel will be like the surly mentor, and then Juniper's I'm gonna cast as the bully, and then Noel did the surly mentor part really great, and then the childhood bully appeared in the podcast, and Noel just immediately made up a character that didn't exist. That's why the character's name is The Gap.
History was born.
In history, we
That was when they psychically connected, and they were like, "Oh, we gotta team up to bully."
yeah, and then we knew.
And I just at that point had lost control, and I was just like, "Well, this is happening."
It's a good time.
Ready for a rules-light, narrative-failing forward collaborative storytelling tabletop role-playing game?
Unsure of where to start?
Powered by the Players is an actual play podcast featuring mini campaigns and one-shots of all your favorite Powered by the Apocalypse games.
Each campaign or one-shot will be a different PBTA game with a rotating cast of diverse players. We've got Masks, a teenage superhero drama.
Bluebeard's Bride, a feminist horror retelling.
Monster of the Week, a supernatural mystery.
Escape from Dino Island, a Jurassic Park-inspired adventure.
Crossroads Carnival, a Depression-era sideshow noir.
The next game you play could be yours, so join Morgan, Kristen, and Diana.
And let's power up.
Follow us on Twitter at PBT Players.
Subscribe on your favorite podcatcher.
Knowing the energy, the dynamic, and your own selves, as you have said to me so many times, we're just the ADHD crew. Like, keeping us on track sometimes is difficult, and I totally can empathize with that as a person who also has focus issues. From a GM perspective, like, how have you been able to keep the story going and keep a, like, as you said, like, there is a serious undertone, there is a big mythos and lore behind all of this, but then you also have, friends, obviously good friends, who like to goof around with each other playing your game. So how have you been doing that so successfully? To your detriment, I guess. I don't know.
Well, I honestly, and now this is going to be that's my own horn. It's having an interesting story. I think is building a story in which I know my players are going to be invested in it. So even when and part of it is also that I know everybody so well as their GM. I know what's going to hook them. I knew from like you know, we have a character, Phelan. He was introduced as like, you know, the bad boy. He's the betrayer god. And I was like, oh, all of my friends watched Avatar: The Last Airbender, and all of my friends loved Zuko. So let's just introduce Zuko in here.
He was masked and wearing black armor, and that's all we knew about him. And we were all like, Zuko! It's Zuko! He's here!
No, we immediately were like, oh my god!
That's all we knew.
It's not that. It's sort of that weird pull of like, I'm not railroading them. I just know oftentimes how they're going to respond to things when I write them. So it can. It's just knowing what the pushes and pulls are with the group and like what's going to send them off on a wild tangent, which I don't always predict 100% of the time. A lot of the best times in the podcast are when I go, oh, we're going to breeze right past this, and they go, that's one weird detail we're going to focus in on. We're going to spend the next 3 hours talking to this NPC that didn't have a name. Which is, I think, a universal experience as a GM. That just happened in the last episode we recorded.
We gave her name.
Yeah.
Yeah, they were like, what's your name? And I was like, I didn't name this character, so I said to them,
I'm not
like,
going to tell you my name.
You know, I'm not going to tell you my name. And they're like, well, then your name is Strong Betty Wolf of the Waves.
Strong Betty Wolf of the Waves.
And it was.
Out of respect to Strong
And then
truly
Strong
was.
Betty Wolf of the Waves was born, and she's, look forward to that in Arc 7.
She's my hero.
She's truly
Love
strong
Strong
in
Betty.
Wolf of the Waves.
She's really, truly strong.
But
in Wolf of the Waves.
I think also, absolutely, I think a lot of the reason that we are able to follow along is that Kat has an interesting story. And I guess, like, I think part of it is that, like, for like Juniper and I, and like Hannah, you're very interested in fiction. I don't know that you write very much, do you?
Not much.
But you do
not
you,
much. Very, very
GM,
not
though.
much.
Anyway, you're of the same mindset, though, so I'm gonna just say this. We have very writerly mindsets. And so I think like we want to go along with a story in a way that's going to be satisfying to people, and that's going to be satisfying to us, and that's going to tell a good story. And it's not going to tell a good story if we're like, oh, I saw an orange over there, and like I'm going to go murder this town full of people because it's just D&D, you know.
Yeah, and I do think that all of us from the get-go, we have been aware that this is not our home game.
Absolutely.
Our home game was a very different game.
It was a little. You know
it
what?
Was very, very
I was
different.
wearing corpse arms on my head, and that is the truth. So.
Oh.
Yeah.
You got to bring that back.
It's true. Well, and you threw your father through the ocean like a football.
So
it's one of my favorite moments.
So that was the energy of our home game. So from first episode recording Dames and Dragons, we knew that was not the energy. We came into it knowing this is a performance.
Absolutely.
This is something we are making for other people to hear, and therefore we want it to be something that is enjoyable to listen to. And that oftentimes reflects in choices we make in the podcast, just in like on the fly we'll go, you know, sometimes we'll stop and go, wait a second, this whole thing is not interesting. Let's move on. Yeah, or like, you know, sometimes it'll just be like, oh, this joke is dead. We need to leave it. And
Well,
very rarely, though,
oftentimes
does that
it'll be
happen.
the person who said the joke being like, edit that out. That was stupid.
exactly.
Or it'll be like us repeating the same joke over and over and over, and then the person editing has to be
This
like,
was funny.
This was
yeah.
funnier in the moment.
Yeah.
Usually
Yeah.
that's
Away
not
it
the
goes.
case.
I think, usually that's not the case, but
No, but there's always been a being conscientious
Yeah.
of the fact that this is a performance. This is a product that we are putting out into the world, and therefore,
And one of us will have to edit it.
and one of us will have to edit it.
Noel,
and it was
mostly.
mostly Noel. So we
But
want
then
to be
this
kind.
last arc, you all took turns editing, correct?
Except for
Sure
me.
did.
Yes.
Yeah, except for Noel, who took a hiatus in our last arc, which is how we brought Amber into the many-headed monster.
Yeah, you also
that is
had
Dames
like
and Dragons.
Rudy was on, the
Yep,
TK.
Rudy Basso. Shouts to Rudy Basso, who's also helping with the editing now.
Yeah,
Rudy
TK.
Basso.
Yep. Yes.
Love you, Mom.
Love you, Mom. Our manager of
Manager of
management, Rudy
management,
Basso,
our mom. I'm gonna get an I love you, Mom tattoo.
That's on official contractual paperwork.
It
It's
is
in the
actually
contract.
on our contract with him. But yes,
But
we
yes.
had Rudy Basso, we had TK,
TK Johnson.
TK Johnson.
TK Johnson, we
Was
had Lisa
awesome.
Penrose,
Yes.
Celeste Conwich, and
Andrew from
Chasm
Chasm Quest.
Yes, Andrew from Chasm Quest.
Along with
Better not be forgetting anyone.
starting quarterback, Amber.
Better not be forgetting anyone.
I don't think you are.
I
Are
don't
we
think
forgetting
I don't
anyone?
think we are, but I'm going back to look because if
scared.
we did forget anyone,
No,
we only forgot one person, and that's worse.
Yep.
No, we are not forgetting anyone because
Andrew
I was
Collins.
forgetting
Oh
Noel.
yeah,
it was Noel
me.
was the other
I was a
guest.
guest.
Yeah.
It was
Yeah.
Noel
Did you
all
play
along.
a different character then, Noel?
Yeah, so actually, I played a character who is. We have a side quest, a side story,
A
bonus
bonus
campaign, which is on
Yeah.
our Patreon, and it's very, very fun, and we all love it, arguably more than the main campaign. And so I played my character from that, and she got to meet Corbin and Slake, which was very funny and good.
I enjoyed it.
I like hearing stuff about behind the scenes, especially like when people who like listen to the show, right, are like, oh man, they get inspired, they want to make their own show themselves, and they don't realize they hear the edited product, right, and they hear like, oh, it's just a bunch of friends having fun time together, and not realizing how much work and how conscious you guys are of the fact that you are producing a show, even if you do spend, from my memory, when I was on, we talked about Cat's Mail for like a good 5 minutes. I don't know if that actually showed up.
And
There's a lot of what we like
Yeah.
to call yayas.
You have to
that
expel the
must be
yayas
expelled.
because they're gonna come out one way or
Yep, yep,
another.
yep.
Yeah.
So take the first like,
Yep.
you know,
Yeah.
10 minutes of the top of the show recording, get it out of your system.
More like the first hour.
Yeah, we really genuinely have started planning like half an hour to an hour before we need to actually start getting things done for us to just be idiots.
just get the
But
yayas
then
out.
we have occasionally we'll meet and then we won't get our yayas out until it's like time to start recording, and then we're
Yeah,
like, well,
we
what
just
did
have been
we
sitting
What
here
the
having
fuck
a
were we
serious
doing?
conversation,
fuck
and
were
then
we
like
doing?
as soon as we start recording, it's like time to talk about. I can't think of anything PG-13 to say.
Sonic the Hedgehog.
Time to talk about Sonic
yeah,
the
oh my
Hedgehog.
God.
Yeah,
I
Time
said
to talk about Sonic the
PG-13,
Hedgehog.
you guys. God,
R-rated way.
Jesus Christ! Why would you say that on Amber's podcast? Have a little respect.
And I was just about ready to talk about how I've been like, at my bedtime reading has been looking through Sonic the Hedgehog wiki and reading people's.
Oh my God, you're the most powerful. You are so
That is
powerful.
That's
I won't think I've heard
incredible.
If I did that, I would have nightmares.
And also,
That
Very
I'm
rated
more
R.
fascinated about the lore that people are creating to the point where they have their PCs showing up in movies in universe of Sonic the
Hell
Hedgehog. Where like
yes.
Sonic the Hedgehog's in Fast and Furious like 11, and then they were this character on this off branch to this show, and I'm like, I wish
love
I
that.
had this time.
Sonic the Hedgehog is a fucking nightmare universe.
Truly, there's something more to say after that.
It is.
Can I just bring something up so that I can use my one F-bomb?
Yes.
Okay,
Yes.
so speaking of Googling weird wikis, I recently Googled the weird wiki of the Final Fantasy X audiobook, which is a sequel to Final Fantasy X-2. And I just need to tell you, okay, first of all, Titus and Yuta break up. So, like, that's all. That's, yeah, weird.
what?
Weird.
What?
Okay, second
Good
of
for
all,
her.
they're not the main characters. The main character is this girl named Chuami and her friend whose name is Kurgum. Fuck.
oh wow,
Kurgum.
That tracks.
I mean,
You said
I
you were
did,
gonna use
I
your
just did.
F-bomb.
I screamed
Kurgum.
fuck. Did you guys
No,
not hear me?
we're so desensitized.
I mean, I think it just makes a lot of sense, right? Because when you think about the fan base for Final Fantasy games, like what medium do they really
Kurgum.
want their next
Kurgum.
piece to be in?
Kurgum.
And of course the answer is
Kurgum.
audiobook. Furthermore, like who do they want to hear about in the audiobook? And obviously
Look,
it's
I
Kurgum.
was trying to look up the name
It's
Kurgum because
Kurgum.
I was like, what if this is a real name and like someone named Kurgum is gonna like find me? So I looked it up. I couldn't find
Kill you.
anything, but there were some people that were using the word Kurgum in song titles. So I looked it up on Google Translate and it said that it was Icelandic. And when I translated it, it translated to Kurgum.
It's
Kurgum,
Kurgum.
baby.
That makes sense.
Kurgum, if you're out there,
Kurgum.
we're sorry. We
It's
respect
Kurgum
you.
all the way down.
We
Yeah.
think We think your name is beautiful. We're surprised to hear it in the context of the Final Fantasy audiobook.
We're all kurgums on the inside.
I don't claim to be kurgum on the
Yeah,
inside.
I
do not claim
I don't
that.
want to claim
kurgum on the outside.
if I'm
I don't.
If I was
Yeah.
gonna name this podcast,
I'm Kurgum through and through.
You're just a kurgum coated candy, baby.
Don't expose my
if I was
skin.
going to be naming this
flesh.
podcast
like
episode
this.
something other than whatever Dames and Dragons, I would be called just Kurgum on the outside.
Kurgum.
yeah, baby.
I don't know. I think
outside.
we're.
Don't lick that candy.
Kurgum in the
Kurgum
front,
in the back.
party in the
Kurgum
back.
in the front, kurgum in the back, kurgum all the way around. Why would you
I'm
bring me
sorry.
back
I
to
think
that?
we're getting way
More
back into the
flashbacks.
yayas, right?
We're getting
Oh,
good.
yeah.
This is good stuff.
Welcome
This
to
is
the
good
energy
content.
This is good
of our
kurgum.
podcast.
I've got Yaddle right here. She's ready.
Yaddle is what
watching.
made me originally think of Kurgum, and I've been waiting for a way to bring up Kurgum this whole time.
Well, I'm glad we got there.
You're welcome.
But I'm gonna stop us. Right? We're at that time,
All right.
guys. I'm sorry. I
I
would love to
guess.
keep it going. I
oh,
would,
it's fine.
but oh
no,
dang.
I have to go grocery shopping.
Oh, you guys are an hour
I
behind.
gotta
me.
go listen to this
But
new
you know what?
audiobook
If-
I just heard about.
But listen, if you, the listener, are into the energy that we have brought to this podcast
Yes,
today,
that's what our podcast is like.
that is our podcast from beginning to end. And all of us are on it. Everybody who's in this Zoom call is on that podcast.
You could say that we're all on it.
We're all on it, and it's
Like
on
just
all
just
of us.
just like Kurgum,
Like,
if
we are
we're dipped.
We're dipped in it like a sweet
kurgum.
caramel kurgum.
I'm so sorry, Amber.
I'm just very, very tired as well. Losing my mind. No. Okay. Yes. Damesanddragons.com. Geekspective.com. Because guess what? Dames and Dragons lives there, kind of.
And Amber, aren't you proud?
We do.
Yes.
We live
We do.
inside geekspective.com. All of us.
You can
we're
find
all
us
on
at
it.
kurgum.com.
We're on it.
No, you
find us at
can't find them on
kurgum.com.
Kurgum.com. Don't go to Kurgum.com. I don't.
Wait.
What is that? We should look what that is.
We should buy it.
We should buy it if it's free.
How do you
If
spell
it's
looking it up
available, we
right
do
now,
need to purchase that domain.
Kurgum.com
Oh!
is not
Okay,
taken.
go daddy.
buying.
Go daddy, go daddy, go
sorry,
daddy.
Amber.
No. Go to
sorry.
Twitter. Go to Dragon Dames at Twitter. And that's where. Is Rudy doing most of your tweets? I don't know.
Yes.
The mom.
Yes.
Yeah.
Rudy is now most of our Twitter.
Yeah, he's most of our Twitter.
Oh, yeah, we can get Kurgum.com for $1 a month for the first year, you guys.
All right. Bye, everybody. We got websites to purchase. Thanks for coming on the show. Bye.
Bye.
Bye. See you on kurgum.com.
Thank you so much.
Thank you, Amber.
So sorry we're like this.
Thank you so much for listening, and I hope you enjoyed the show. You can find me on Twitter at RocketOrca, Kenny as at Wolfmere, and John is at Crossways GM. Tabletop Babble is part of the Geekspective Network. Go to geekspective.com to check out all our other shows or follow us on Twitter at Geekspective. Our theme music was provided by the Battle Bards.